Elite Facts presents 12 Most Brutal Torture Methods Ever Plotted. Number 1. Heretics Fork. This torture device was a piece of metal that had two pronged forks attached on a belt in opposite directions. The device was attached to the neck of the victim, and the prongs touched the sternum and the chin. The victim was unable to bend their head down. In some cases, they were hung down from a ceiling with this device installed. Number 2. Rat torture. In this torture device, there was a cage which had one open side, and this side would be filled with rats and then heated up. It would be strapped to the body of the victim. As the cage was heated, the rats would be forced to escape out of the cage, but would dig into the victim's body to find a way out of the hot cage. Number 3. The Brazen Bull. The Sicilian bull was designed in Greece. It was solid brass and shaped into the shape of a bull. One side had an open door. The victim would be placed inside the bull and then subjected to fire underneath it until the metal was so hot it turned yellow. The victim would scream as they were roasted alive until dead. The victim's screams would be heard through the nostrils of the bull. Number 4. Impalement. In 15th century Rome, Vlad the Impaler used this form of torture. The victims would be made to sit on sharp, pointed poles, and then the poles would be raised so they pierced the bodies of the victims. Vlad the Impaler was the real man who inspired Bram Stoker's Dracula. Number 5. Neck torture. This device was made up of a metal or a wooden belt that had sharp spikes to pierce the locked neck. The person wearing the device could not lie down, sleep, or eat when wearing it. Number 6. The Judas Cradle. Naked victims would sit on a cradle which was pyramid-shaped. They would be forced down onto it by ropes, and the body would be stretched until there was impalement. The device was rarely washed, so the wounds on the body would get infected in many cases, and the victim would die from infection or intense pain. Number 7. Coffin torture. In this torture device, the victim was placed in a cage which was smaller than the victim's size. It was hanged on trees or gallows, and the victim wasn't given food or water. The victim was kept there until the body was eaten by scavenger birds. Number 8. Guillotine. A common execution device was the guillotine. This had a razor-sharp blade which was attached to a rope. The victim laid down on the device so that when the blade fell, their head would be cut off. This was considered a humane way of execution, as the victim wouldn't be half dead or experience pain. Number 9. The rack. In the Middle Ages, this was a very painful torture device. There was a wooden frame and two ropes fixed to the bottom and the top of the device. The victims would be stretched by their limbs until the limbs dislocated. In some cases, the limbs would be torn completely from the body. Number 10. Tongue terror. This device resembled large scissors, and it was used to remove the tongue of the victim. It would be placed in the mouth of the victim and the tongue placed between the gripped ends. A screw would be tightened and the tongue would be torn out. Number 11. Cement shoes. To execute their enemies, the American Mafia used this technique. The feet of an enemy would be placed inside cinder blocks, and this was filled up with wet cement. Once the cement solidified, the victim would be thrown into deep water so they sank to the bottom and drowned. Number 12. The breaking wheel. This technique was used to kill someone slowly. The victim was tied to a large wheel and the person doing the torturing would smash the limbs of the victim using a hammer until they fractured. The victim was left on the wheel, half dead, to be eaten by crows and vultures. Subscribe for more.